And if you want to find out what the deal is with the chlamydia, go check that playlist.
Hello again, and welcome back to Collection Connection, the game that is just an excuse to talk about records. If you want to know more about how my brother and I play this game, or how you can play as well, read about the description. It's in the description. My brother, in his last video, gave me REM Life Search Pageant, which happens to be one of my favorite REM albums. Definitely top 5, maybe top 3. And I have their whole catalog, and as it happens, I did a series of sort of essays about our experience with the band album by album with a friend of mine a few years back. So I read a book all about REM and their career. And the connection, after going through quite a few connections that popped to mind, one of the things I wanted to focus on, or the thing I ended up focusing on, was the kind of quirk that Peter Buck insisted kind of from the get-go. He thought that it was the money that broke up bands. And so it was his idea from the get-go to credit all 4 band members for every song, regardless of who wrote it. That way no one was getting shortchanged. And so you'll see that every REM song is credited to Barry, Buck, Mills, and Stipe, and just Buck, Mills, and Stipe after Bill Berry left the band. And so I thought, okay, here's a good connection. Who else took that particular approach? And the band I came up with is Supergrass. And since it's more about the band than the album, it's kind of pick an album, and the album that I picked is their 4th album, from 2002, Life on Other Planets. This is the first Supergrass album that I bought. It remains my favorite. I have to say the album that came out after this, Road to Ruin, I did not like as much, and so I was not in a hurry to collect any other Supergrass albums. I was aware of them as far back as All Right, which appeared on the Clueless soundtrack, which I had. I thought it was a great song. And that was as much as anything what tipped me off. But early on, you got to remember, this is pre-internet. And so Supergrass, who is another band that never really made a mark in the U.S., despite being a pretty big band in their home of the United Kingdom, they just flew under my radar. And so I was not aware of them, really, except for that one song. And the first album that I was aware of them releasing was Life on Other Planets. And I think it's a great, maybe not a great introduction, but I think it may be their finest moment. They kind of started off like a brash little brother, look at me, to Blur and Oasis, kind of in the Britpop scene. But by the time they got around to Life on Other Planets, they still had a sense of humor, but it was much more assured, and didn't necessarily feel as much need to say, hey, look at me, look at me. The influences it takes are from glam, so that's Britpop, but it's very informed by glam, and so I think, Eric, that this is an album that you will enjoy if you're not already familiar with it. I think you'll like it a lot. So let me see, some of the tracks. Grace is the whole album is really good. I love Evening of the Day. Brecon Beacons is great. Grace is great. And overall, Seen the Light is a very T-Rexy song. And let me see. Even when they kind of go a little nuts, like on Never Done Nothing Like That Before, it doesn't sound as kind of bratty, maybe, as the first couple of records did. It was definitely a little more subdued, even though the tunes are still there. The hooks are still there. But it just feels like, yeah, we're a band, we're making music, and not like, look what we can do. So I think you'll enjoy it a lot. It gets a little spacey near the end. I wouldn't call it quite psychedelia, but the last track is a little psychedelia inspired. And it looks like my time is up. So there was my 5 minutes. And so I will pass it back to you with Supergrass, Life on Other Planets, 2002. Great record. Give it a listen. If you have a connection to Supergrass and you want to let us know about it, tell us about it in the comments, and we will catch you in the next one. All right. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.